Hello and welcome to our series where each week we invite you to take a walk with us as we discuss some topic from the Word of the Lord. And this week we're going to take a look at God making us glad. Let's go. Psalm 4, verses 6 and 7. There be many that say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. Thou hast put gladness in my heart, more than in the time that their corn and their wine increased. So there was people, as David writes in Psalm 4, there was people that would say, who will show us something good? They were effectively asking for some good thing to happen. And this would be either the receiving of food or, some riches of increase or something like that. It could be any good thing that you'd think of in the material sense. Something that happens and you say, oh man, we received goods. That's who will show us any good. That would be like saying who will give us material goods. And David asked God, he said, Lord, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. Lord, look on us, be with us. And then he says of the Lord, thou hast put gladness in my heart more than in the time that their corn and their wine increased. Who is the they? Their corn and their wine, who's the they? It's the people that said, who will show us any good? They wanted material things. They wanted goods, temporal things, because that's what would make them happy. But these things, only last you so long. When David said, you know what, the world might be asking, others might be asking for material things, saying, who's going to give us some goods? But David said, Lord, I'd rather have you look on us because you put gladness in my heart more than in the time that they receive all this increase of goods. David was effectively saying, Lord, you're what makes me happy, not just things of this world. Because you see, David went through a lot in life. David had gone through, a time of a lot of good things when he was a young man, but he also went through some pretty hard stuff as a young man. And he went through, the David and Goliath story, of course, and he went through being told that he was going to be king, and of course he went through having to run for his life, and there's just a lot of things that happened to David. And he could see that having all these material things isn't necessarily what's going to make his heart merry. That's not going to make him leap for joy. That gladness, the gladness in your heart is like having a merry voice and like leaping for joy, that glow that someone has. But particularly in this sense, it's the joy that someone would have, the righteous people would have, because of the things of the Lord. And we see that David going through all this stuff, he still said that God makes him more glad than all the material possessions. He didn't ask anybody to give him material goods. He just said, Lord, you look on me. And that's why David could write in Psalm 122, verse 1, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. And I think to myself, what about me? What about my life? What about modern times where, in today's day and age, I got to think about what is it that's going to make me happy? What makes me glad? So I like to read the Bible, and, a lot of times we read things that someone wrote, and I think to myself, what was their mindset when they wrote this? What was their motivation for writing it? And then I also ask myself, do I feel that way? I like to try to kind of be introspective and think to myself, could I write that? Could I actually say that and be telling the truth? So I think to myself, who will show us any good? And then say, Lord, you look on me because you make me happier than receiving the material possessions. I think I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. And of course, in modern day terms, it's a little bit different, but I ask myself, am I glad? Am I joyful? Does my heart leap when someone says, let's go to church? Someone says to me, let's go to the house of the Lord. Does that make me so happy that I get this little leap in my heart thinking, yeah, that's where I want to go? A lot of places I like going. Certain restaurants you might like to go to, a certain store you might like to go to. A lot of people like to go to some certain arena or stadium for a sporting event or anything like that. And of course, those can be things where you can have a really good time. Good things can happen at those places as well. But I ask myself, am I glad when someone says to me, let's go to the house of the Lord? And I would like to think that I am, but I want to continually ask myself this. Am I glad when someone says to me, let us go to the house of the Lord? Is that my preferred place? Is that the place where I think good happens to me? And in the broad sense of, your life, being a person with a soul, I think to myself, I've had a lot of good befall me, either as a kid or, young man or now a middle-aged guy. I think I've had a lot of good things befall me in life. And certainly it made me happy and stuff. And I think, but what are the big, important, really good things that really make me happy? And all of them are centered around God. All of them are centered around the things of the Lord. And it's for that reason that I can say, when the world says, who's going to show me some material goods? Who will give me more physical things? Who will give me more material possessions and riches? That I could say, Lord, look on me. Lord, I just want you to be here with me, because that's what makes me really happy. And that's what allows me to say that I'm glad when someone says to me, let us go into the house of the Lord. Because all the things that really, really matter, all the good things that really matter, the things that really affected the rest of my life, were all centered around God. So, Lord, help me to always be able to say, I was glad when they said unto me, let us go into the house of the Lord. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.